welcome our inductees, their families, our team, and to just share some time with us to celebrate you and your accomplishments. I'll ask our Hawks, because I just had to do it myself, to silence your phone, and that might help us all. Appreciate that. We moved tonight's event, pre-ceremony event, from the cafeteria to the back hallway because I know that's a destination for a lot of you. You have wanted to see some things you haven't seen in years. Our record boards are relative, well, certainly for most of our inductees and the teams are definitely new. And we've just had a lot of changes in 20 years that I think you would have appreciated being back there. So I hope you enjoyed, had an opportunity to look in our gym. We have an auxiliary gym. I realize that many of you may not even realize that we have another auxiliary gym on your way out of that hallway to your left that has a lot of our wrestling history. So you can take a look at that if you get an opportunity as well. Before we get started, I do want to thank a few people. Certainly our Board of Education for supporting what we do here. There are a lot of people specifically helpful to the things that I was trying to do. My athletic secretary, Marianne Tupper, Jill O'Cohen, one of our TV production, newspaper editor, yearbook editor, teacher here, very instrumental in helping me prepare for this. Our athletic coaches and our administrative team here at the high school, Dennis Adams, our current principal, Tracy Raimondo, one of my vice principal colleagues, very helpful today. Dennis is going to side as our technician tonight as well. So he's a man of many hats. And he is a current member of the Hall of Fame. And our new administrative teammate, Sarah Tifo. So they were helpful in just allowing me the time I needed to try and get some things in order here. And I'll have some other thanks down the road. This is a special night. It's a long time coming. I recognize that. It's been a goal. It's been overdue, and we are committed as a committee, and I want to thank the committee members, most who are here today, for the decisions in making these choices. We know that there are a lot of Hawks out there that need recognition, and we know that there are others that will become members of the Hall of Fame. We made some decisions with regard to the number tonight. So we will honor and we will continue to honor each year starting this year until we feel like we've got them all. But I need your help to nominate some people. So we'll talk more about that at the end. I want to thank the Hall of Fame committee for their time and effort in making the decisions we needed to make. Thank you. Give them a hand. Superintendent Dave Tretheway is here. I know that Mr. Tretheway is here. Dave? I want to thank Dave Tretheway, and he'd like to just share a word.
Keith introduced me here because he wanted me to do his evaluation, so he's got a pretty nice turnout here. So first of all, I want to thank everybody for being. This is a pretty impressive turnout, I got to say. It's a special program. I've been fortunate. First of all, I was told to be very brief because we've got some great stories, I understand, coming up, and some fairly long-winded people, so I will be brief. But first of all, I do recognize how special it is to be part of the Hall of Fame. Please don't boo, but I was coached at Jackson for 15 years, and part of presenting some Hall of Fame people there. There are some very special athletes there. I was part of Central Regional Hall of Fame when they came back after 50 years. To see people come back in their 70s, people like Al Leiter, who was obviously a Major League Baseball player, some real special classes there. Fortunately, college-wise, we had some people with some pretty poor memories, so I was part of a Hall of Fame class in my college too. Luckily, they didn't. The longer you're away from the sport, the more they think that you're pretty good. So I was part of that special group. But the point I want to make here is that looking at this group, looking at this class, they're just as much impressive, if not more impressive, than anyone I've seen here. I've looked at some of the accomplishments. You have to be very proud of what we've done here. We're very proud to be here at Manchester. Again, looking at this group, it's a very special group, some special teams. Really, it's when you look back at some of the things that you've accomplished, it's pretty impressive. So I want to just finish by saying thank you. Thank you for all that you've done. Thank you for making Manchester look so good. And thank you for your accomplishments. And I want to congratulate you. You've done some really great things here. And obviously, every one of you, this honor is well-deserved. And it's a very special, and we really want to thank you for being back here. And I'm going to listen to some good stories. So thank you.
Okay, we're going to start tonight with our 1998 track team, boys spring track team, championship team. Very fortunate to have Coach Conover and his entire family here tonight. You know, when you think about the dean of coaches in our town, Bob is that guy. He's been retired here for 12 years, but you know, he's been a coach of the year so many times, 4 times in Ocean County. In his last year, he was the coach of the year at the Star Ledger and the Asbury Park Press. Coached our track team to, I think, an 8-year undefeated run, 65 consecutive wins, multiple championships, and I'm just very pleased that Bob and Jan and Adele and Garrett and Ross and their families all are here, and it means a lot. And, I'd like Bob to come up and present for his team.
I know who Mr. Treadway was talking about when he said long-winded. It didn't fire over this head. My middle name this evening is going to be Brevity. Okay, I don't even need them. The 98 track and field team. Gracious goodness. I had coached for 22 years, and I was done. And I was moving on, hopefully, into administration. And my youngest son, and actually I didn't coach my kids. I sort of liked the idea of them doing it on their own, and whatever they managed to secure, they did it on their own and not because I was in a position to give something to them. My youngest son, Garrett, he came to me and he said, now he's just a freshman, and not a very imposing freshman, but I'm going to leave it at that. And he came to me and he said, Dad, you're done coaching track? I thought I was going to run for you. Oh, Grits. Really? I said, you're so doggone good in baseball. Why don't you consider? No, Dad, I really want to run for you. So I said, all right. Okay. Now I have to tell you, the old Conover freight train was losing a little steam around this time in my life. And I was ready to move on up into the offices or find something else to do. Last couple teams, they were better than 500, but we just weren't the usual Hawk teams. The Hawk teams that when that yellow bus with Manchester Township written on the side pulled into an invitational meet or a state level meet, people were like, oh man, pack up, we might as well go home. The Hawks are here. We had that kind of a reputation in the state of New Jersey. So now here it was, 1994, and Garrett wants me to coach track again. So I went home, chatted with my wife Jan, and she said, look, Bob, do what you want to do. You always do anyway. And I said, all right, here's what I'm going to do. If this is the way it's going to be, then I'm going to go out and I'm going to hit the holes. I'm going to recruit. I'm going to go after it like I was a 25-year-old. And we're going to make this team the greatest of all the Hawk teams. Now that's a mouthful. But guess what? 94, those kids went out. They won the Ocean County Freshman Championship. That means we had a pretty good group of freshmen starting out. I took a look at that. Guys like Ian Hahn, Garrett was on that team, Kevin Hester. No, Hester was not on that team. And that was one of the things that I was looking at. I said, this team is this good, and I got this kid, Kevin Hester, that can dunk with his tongue. He's up over the rim like this, and he's not on my track team. How is that possible? I've got to go get Skeets Hester. And I went after him, and I gave him my best stuff, and he was not easy. Man, I walked him into the gym, I put my arm around his shoulder, I said, you see that Andrew Valman thing on the wall over there? There could be something like Kevin Hester over here, a little smaller, but if we could get you on the wall. Coach, I don't know, I'll think about it. Well, one day, he saw a track practice in the high school gymnasium. It was indoor, it was cold and miserable, and he saw what I was doing with the high jumpers. I was taking a pole vault mat and putting it underneath the rim, and I was having the high jumpers run up, jump, touch the rim, turn, toss, and go over a bar into the mat. And Kevin was like, wow, that's pretty interesting. I said, you want to try it, Kev? He said, Coach, I don't know. He said, try it. And the first time he went up, boom, there he goes. Turn, flop. I said, Kev, that jump would have just won the county championship. That won him. Now I had him on board. I needed another guy. I needed a great sprinter. I had some sprinters, but I needed that guy. And I needed Jay Roach. So I went a roach hunting. Yes, I did. And I got him. And Jay completed that team. Now, just to give you an idea, Mr. Lister, should those guys be up here, the members of the team that are out? Sure. Why don't you come up, sit on the stage. You know, I'll tell you something. They still look like they could kick some butt. They're looking good. They are looking good. So, that same team, now with the addition of Jay and Kevin, we went out and we were going to run the sophomores now. They're sophomores. They won the outright county as sophomores. They didn't just beat sophomores, they beat all the varsity guys in the county. They won the county as sophomores. And I told Keith I would be as brief as possible. Hi, Conover. That's my grandson. Yeah, and his name is Conover. How about that? Yeah. Anyway, now as juniors, they went out. Oh, and by the way, we're winning the B-South every year. That was just, we win the B-South every year. So as juniors, they went out. They won the county. They won the Shore Conference. And then they went down to South Jersey. And by the way, just to give you an idea, the county was 18 teams. Shore Conference was 42 teams. And when we went down to South Jersey, I don't know how many were down there. Lots. And we won South Jersey as well. That's their junior year. And that was when we had Silk Anderson on the team, and he was scoring points all over the place. High jump, long jump, sprints, and hurdles. He was a heck of a hurdler. Now we go to the senior year, coup de grace. We open the year. Now I'm telling these guys in the locker room, and these fellas were believing me. I've been telling them for 3-4 years, you are going to be the greatest track and field team, the greatest team in any sport that Manchester has ever produced. And the greatest track and field team in the state of New Jersey. That's what you're going to be. I had them all fired up. And we went down to Pinelands on a cold, miserable day and lost our first dual meet. Oh, yes. Lost our first dual meet. Now, it was cold and it was miserable. And I don't think I had the kids fired up the way they should have been. Was that the invitational? That was the invitational. That was it. All right. Hey, listen, I'm older. My memory isn't as good as these guys. It was the Pinelands Invitational meet that we lost. But we lost it. We win all those things. Anyway, we went from there, and I came back, and we got in the locker room. We got chatting, and I said, where are we going from here, guys? I mean, where are we going? Sky's the limit. We can do everything and anything with this group of guys. And there's only a couple missing that are not here right now. Dave D'Ambrisi, I'm sorry to say, wasn't here, and Al Cannon in the pole vault is not here. Otherwise, we're extremely well represented. I may be forgetting someone. All right, senior year, moving along. We win the B-South. We win the county. I mean, we're running away with the county. I could left people home. We're winning the county. We win the short conference, run away with the short conference. And while these things are going on, I mean, I was doing things that I don't know whether it was smart to do or not, but I was using Ian Hahn. I was tripling him in some of these meets, tripling him. I mean, the humanity. Where's the humanity? And he was winning 3 events. Now, he's not winning the 1 and the 2. He's winning the 800 meters, the 1600 meters, and the 3200 meters, and it's at state level. State level. So we clean the short conferences clock for the 2nd year in a row, and we go down to South Jersey. So at that time, Mr. Gundry, Ron Gundry was the AD, and Ron came to me and he said, we're not in Group 3 in South Jersey. You've been moved to Group 2. Now, Group 2 are smaller schools, and it's all based on the size and number of people, the number of students that are here in the high school. So we got moved to Group 2, and I was like, oh, wow. We're going to just school them down there as Group 2, because I thought we were going to be 3. And then I did a little research, and I found out the best team in South Jersey is Bridgeton. And guess what group Bridgeton is? 2. Oh my. Now Bridgeton, when you talk about loving track and field, you visit Bridgeton sometime. They have a track hall of fame downtown Bridgeton you gotta pay to get into. Now that's a serious track town. I'm not kidding you on that. So here we go, we're going up against Bridgeton. Now we started out pretty good on the first day. Anyway, let's get right down to the last race. It was down to the 4x400 meters. We had to beat Bridgeton in that to have won South Jersey. My 4x400 team started out with Jay Roach. Now, Jay had a blister issue. Jay had lots of issues, but I'm not going to go into all. But he had a blister on his foot, and he was complaining about his blister. But you know, Jay's the kind of guy that he would complain, but then when it came time, crunch time, Jay was on the line, and I knew he'd be there. And in that race, Jay took it out and had us in the zone. We were there. Bridgeton was a little ahead of us, but we were there, within striking distance. And our second leg was Kevin Hester, and Kevin kept us right in striking distance. Now, these guys have told me, I didn't know about this, but they told me, oh, we didn't want to take the lead because we knew if we could just get the baton in D'Ambrisi's hands, everything would be okay. So anyway, Kevin had us sitting right in first or second, and now, this is going to sound strange because he's my son, but you know, the last time I had the mic, I really tore my son up, so I'm going to be kind to him because my wife kicked my butt. Actually, Garrett ran the third leg, and he ran a 50.4, which was the fastest he had ever run, and put us right there for D'Ambrisi. And Dave D'Ambrisi beat their anchor, and we won South Jersey and moved on to Group 3, our Group 2 state championships. We did it again there, won that outright, and then we went to the Meet of Champions. Now, Meet of Champions, just to try and give you an idea, it represents every high school in the state of New Jersey, not just one size school, not just parochial schools, not just public, everyone that straps on a pair of cleats was in that meet. If they were in the top 5 in every level coming up. So that means in the state sectionals, they had to be in the top 5 to move. Then they had to be in the top 5 at the next level, which was their group meet. So that's their group 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, all of them had to be in the top 5. So now they had to go through all that to qualify for this MOC. Now these are the best track athletes in all of the state of New Jersey. And though they don't keep team scores in the MOC, we won that meet. We won that meet clearly. And the North Star Ledger, at the conclusion of it, said that Manchester Township was the finest team in the state. I even got a Coach of the Year from the Star Ledger. It was sweet. It was sweet. Now, let me just run quickly through these guys. And Steve Hankins, Steve was a high jumper and a good one. We had such a deep high jump team. I mean, we had 4 guys going over 6'4", and Steve was tough. George Gominiak, let me say one thing about George. I love this statement. I was like, I can talk about George, a hard worker, blah, blah, blah. George Gominiak. I'm talking to CJ and that Silk Anderson, CJ Anderson, who in '97 he ran in the MOC, he won medals, he went to South Carolina. Well, guess what? CJ tells me, he says, Coach, I asked him what kind of things inspired him and made him the great track athlete that he was. And I'm thinking, well, you, Coach, it must have been you. No. You know what he told me? He told me that George Gominiak was the guy that inspired him the most. Yep. Yeah. John Clegg. Well, John was a pole vaulter, and John was the best pole vaulter in the county as a freshman, and then he decided to get hurt every year. Kevin Hester. Actually, I shouldn't say nothing about Kevin because I'm going to induct you later. Or I can say it now, not induct now. Kevin is the greatest high jumper and long jumper in the history of the school. How about that? That's enough. Sorry, CJ. You were there. Garrett Conover. I think the last time I had the mic and I talked about Garrett, I said what a hard worker he is and was, and he was. And in many instances, Garrett was the motor that made that team go out on the track. He was a heck of a worker. He pushed Ian Hahn. They pushed back and forth. Garrett was also a hurdler. In the intermediates, he made it to the MOC. He scored all the way through. And Garrett went on to Western Colorado State, where he holds 2 records. He was the champion of the Mountain West Conference his senior year. And I'm very proud of my son, Garrett. Kevin Hester. Kevin's the real deal. Kevin Anderson. I was going to do you twice. Sorry. So I should just call you the real deal, and then I'm not going to make that mistake. All right. Kevin was a hurdler, high jumper, and Kevin was, I think the guy sent him to me. When I was out there and I'd say to him, like, this is what we're going to do. This is our workout. We're going to run X number of 3s. And then we're going to rest, then we're doing bleachers, then we're coming down, we're doing blah, 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 blah. And next thing I know, here comes Kevin Anderson. He comes over, he says, Coach, can I talk to you about that workout? I said, well, what's up, Kev? He said, well, I don't think the rest period is sufficient. I'd say, Kev, I was certain that Kevin was going to go on and be a lawyer, but I understand he's doing very well, and he has a beautiful family. I met them this evening. Kevin, thank you for everything you've done. Ian Hahn, greatest distance runner in the history of Manchester Township and one of the greatest distance runners in all of the state of New Jersey. A fabulous guy. Great work ethic. I mean, he was everything any coach could ask for. And his mom and dad never missed a meet. Neither did the Andersons. Jay Roach. Jay, man, I had Jay, sophomore, junior, senior year. Now I tell this story about Jay, and Jay he's one of, I think he's the #2 sprinter. His time in the MOC was 10.84, and I think it made you the #2 sprinter in the history of Manchester. That's a heck of an accomplishment. Heck of an accomplishment. But this is something Jay did, and I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Jay ran in the county meet, all right? 18 schools in the county. Jay ran in the county meet. He took 4th. Okay, that was all right. He did good. Then we went to the short conference. 42 schools in the short conference. I'm thinking, well, you know, I got these sprinters from Neptune and Asbury Park and Red Bank, and he took 5th. I'm like, oh, that's good, Jay. That's real good. So he scored points for the team. Now we go down to South Jersey, where there's more schools. He takes 5th again. Against obviously a higher and better class athletes, he takes 5th again. Now he's in the meet of champions against the best hurdlers in the state of New Jersey, or none. All the best ones are there. And I'm thinking, oh, well, Jay, I hope you would at least get through the trials. He goes through the trials. Next thing you know, I'm looking over there. He's in the finals. He's getting into his blocks. I'm looking at him. I'm saying, he looks like he thinks he's going to do something here. Bang! Goes the gun. Jay looks around. I guess that means I better get going. And he got going. And he took 6th in the meet of champions. He is the 6th best sprinter in the state of New Jersey in 1998. Congratulations, Mike. Mike Hoffman. Mike was a junior in 98. Mike ran on all of our relays. We had extraordinary relays. Our sprint medley, and I'm not going to get into all what goes into the sprint medley, and distance medley, and the 4x8. Mike was a part of every one of them, and they were state level and national level. Our sprint medley was a national, we were at one time the fastest in the nation in the sprint medley. Yeah, fastest in the nation. Okay, Mr. Lister's over here. So here's in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so proud to have had the opportunity to coach these young men. So proud. And to watch them aspire to that level of greatness at my final year of coaching, I couldn't have written the story if I had an opportunity any better. And it was because of these guys, their work ethic, and Manchester Township. And I never shortchange Manchester. The Hawks are the best. Remember what I said in the beginning. When that Hawk bus pulls up, people quiver. Let's not have that slide away from us. 1998, finest team in the history of Manchester Township. Thank you, guys. Oh, why, thank you so much. Oh, my gosh. Wow. Oh, that was fabulous. Thank you. I overlooked someone. And I know. Gilberto Rivera was also a member of that team. And Gil was a treasured member of that team. He was a hard worker. I remember Gil came up to me one day and he said, you know, Coach, I'm really not good enough to be a part of this team. And I said, Gil, that's nonsense. He said, but my times aren't good enough, and I'm just not where I should be. I said, it's nonsense, Gil. You keep working, keep aspiring, raise that bar, you'll get it. And he got it. His times came down. He was scoring in the 8, scoring in the intermediates, and Gil was an important part of our team. And I'm sorry I overlooked Gil Rivera. Thank you again.
Okay, that was great, Coach Conover. I knew having you back would be fun. Congratulations, men. Our second team is our 2003 championship softball team. Very happy to have Coach Harry Ferrone here. And Coach Kelly Hanway. Coach Ferrone, if you come up and join us. Coach Hanway, you're welcome as well.
Okay, hi, good evening. What an exciting night it is right now for the 2003 State Championship Hawk Varsity Softball team and all the other inductees. On behalf of myself, Coach Masergia, Coach McCann, and the players, we'd like to thank the Hall of Fame Committee for this gracious honor. It is every player's and every coach's dream to one day be honored in this way. Once a Hawk, always a Hawk. I'd also like to dedicate tonight's induction of our team into the Manchester Athletic Hall of Fame to one of our fallen players, Jessica Bongiovanni. JB, your smile, spirit, and friendship will never be forgotten, and you'll always be in our hearts. Thank you. Could I have the team come up, please, and the coaching staff? Thank you. You guys come on up. Be up here the whole time for this, please. Thank you. Also, Coach Lister said we had 5 minutes. Bob, we'll have to have a discussion later about what 5 minutes is, because that wasn't 5. Okay. I know you drove a long way. You flew. You went through a hurricane. It's so good to see you. You're welcome. Nice representation tonight. All right, let's see. I promised I'd script this out so it wouldn't go long, so that's what I'm going to do. My varsity assistant coach, Coach P, who made coaching every day a fun and rewarding experience. We were a great team, and I couldn't have done any of this without her. Coach McCann, you started it all, and you've been a role model for me and for hundreds of players that have come through our softball program. Thank you for your years of dedicated service to the students here at Manchester Township High School. Yeah, that's a good picture right there. I'd like to introduce the players first before I give you a brief review of probably one of the most exciting things I've been involved in. Now let's introduce all our players. First of all, we have infielder Lynn Barron. Yay, Lynn. You have the plaques, right? Okay, great. Awesome. Infielder Jessica Bongiovanni. I know her mom's here. If she'd please come up and accept her certificate. For JB. Outfielder and pitcher Katie Bongiovanni. First base out. She's got a cute. Yes. Yeah, come and grab it. That's okay. Lister's older now. He can't do a lot of walking, okay? It's all right. First baseman Sean Casey, who couldn't be here tonight. Second baseman Autumn Flores, who brought an extra person with her today. You'll see why in a second. Profile. Autumn's due in like 20 minutes, but she said it'd be really embarrassing if I went into labor today. I was like, no way, that would be so cool. Just out of curiosity, anybody in the house that experienced liver babies, just in case? Maybe wait. We've got infielder Sabrina Hager, who couldn't be here tonight. Her 2 kids are sick. Well, you can give her a hand, go ahead. Outfielder Grant Hurley. Outfielder JJ Jakubik. Outfielder Haley Jorgensen. All the way from Texas. I can give you an accent, but infielder Brittany Slovak. Catcher Corinne Steinmeier. Third baseman Lauren Tardif. Second baseman Rihanna Van Chur. I got you, Ree. And our ace pitcher who couldn't be here tonight, she's in Italy right now. Hopefully somebody is FaceTiming her right now. Anybody FaceTiming her? Anybody has Nikki Webb's phone number, just FaceTime her. Nicole Webb. Okay, so let me tell you a little story about the 2003 team. The 2003 team was very successful. We completed a season record of 26-2. Our only 2 losses of the season came in the Ocean County Tournament Final. Still sore about that. And the semis of the Shore Conference Tournament. We won the B-South Divisional title for the 2nd year in a row and outscored our opponents that season 151-28. Nikki Webb and our defense, that's right, Nikki Webb and our defense, put up 16 shutouts. And we had a team batting average of 322. We finished the season ranked number 2 in the state of New Jersey. The ride to the state Group 2 final was an exciting one. In the semifinals, we slipped past Freehold with a 1-0 win, scoring after Corinne Steinmeier got caught like the longest rundown I've ever seen. I don't know how she got out of it still to this date. But on the next play, bingo, hit, she scores, and we hold on and win the game. It's funny too because the teacher I work with at Jackson Liberty right now is the pitcher from that, Ashley Forsythe. We talk about that all the time. She's a little sore still, but nice person. The sectional title game was a 10-run blowout. We beat Hamilton 10-zip. It was nothing. Everything went right that day. It was crazy. After a few days, it sank in that we'd be playing for the Group 2 state title. This was everyone's dream that season. Coach P and I encouraged all of our players to stay in the moment and to have fun and enjoy the lead up to the game. Because a game like that could get away from you. To really embrace it and enjoy this rare opportunity, okay? And that's exactly what we did. The final game against Caldwell would prove to be a pitcher's duel. Caldwell had the first big chance to score in the first inning with 2 outs. Swinger takes a swing, check swing, ball goes like 6 feet in front of home plate. Corinne hustles out, grabs it, tags the kid out at the plate. That's the first inning. From there, the rest of the game saw very few opportunities until the bottom of the 7th. 1 out, Haley Jorgensen draws a crucial walk. Sabrina Hager, we put Sabrina in to run. We put on the run and hit with Rihanna Ventura at the plate. That's right, the run and hit. Not the hit and run, the run and hit. There's a difference. People know what I'm talking about. Hoping it would make something happen. Well, guess what? It did. Ventura hits a line drive out to like left center, or right center actually. And Sabrina is cooking around second base, and she's hustling towards third. She is coming my way. And I very, very, very blatantly step out and put the brakes on her. She does not even look at me. She sprints right past me. She almost ran over me. I stepped out, I almost grabbed her to stop her. So she hooks around the plate. Now I looked out into the outfield to see what's going on, and Caldwell was just as surprised as I was, as they have to make this quick relay home. So boom, boom, relay, throw to the plate. Sabrina never, that's the slide right there. Head first slide, I think it's harder for somebody showing her how to do that like the game before, okay? She slides in head first, bang, bang play at the plate, dead silence for like 2 seconds. The longest 2 seconds of my life as the umpire just stands there. I'm looking, I think everybody's looking. And then, boom, game's over. State champion right there. You couldn't have ended a game in a more dramatic fashion. I remember seeing Mr. Lister out behind him, and he came over after the game was over, and he was smiling from ear to ear like this was the greatest thing we have ever seen. Okay? Everyone on the team that season, whether you were a starter, a substitute, or a pinch runner, contributed that season to make the dream of a state championship come true. We won that night at High School North, and it wasn't a win just for us. It was a win for the Hawks, for the hundreds of students and parents and coaches and administrators who came out that night to see us reach for the impossible dream. To our players, I say thank you. for being a part of the most exciting journey of my coaching career. Congratulations to all the players on your induction tonight. It is so well deserved. On a final note, Coach Basergian and I are as proud of you tonight for the people that you have become as we were that night. Thank you and have a good night and congratulations. 2003 championship softball team right here.
That was a great night, and the fact that they played at Toms River North, and for those of you who know, at that time of year, most of the spring sports are done, so we had a really big turnout for that game, and it was just a night we won't forget. So congratulations to the girls, so many back tonight, your children, great job getting here. Love to see you then, love to see you now, so thank you for coming back. Okay, I'd like to introduce or induct our first individual, and that would be Coach Ferrone. We only have one coach in the hall, and that's Coach Conover. There are a number of coaches that we need to recognize, certainly over time, and we will do that clearly. But Coach Ferrone is a special coach in his day here at Manchester. Coaching girls tennis from '93 to 2005. Won division championships in '98, 2001, and 2002, 2003. Excuse me. With 171 and 94 in his career as our tennis coach. Made the state tournament 12 of 13 years. Now, back in those days when all of you guys were in school, you had to be a 500 team or better to make the state tournament. That has changed now. They'll fill the bracket to 16 teams regardless of what your record is, as long as you're willing to play in it. So it was a little bit different back then, a little bit tougher to make the state tournament. So 12 out of 13 years is impressive for coaches, tennis teams. Thank you, Coach. He was the 1998 Tennis Coach of the Year. In softball, he's a division championship in 2001, 2003, 2004. As he said, he was a finalist to that Burke Memorial loss in 2 years, 01 and 03, although that was a tough one. Qualified for the states in softball 8 out of 10 years. And obviously the crown achievement for that program was the 2003 Group 2 championships. His softball record was 150 and 89, and his good friend, colleague, Sweeney McKinnon, wants to say a word too.
All right, Hawks, here we go. All right, I just flew in, and I want to introduce all the kids on the team. There's only one person, okay. Listen, it gives me a great deal of honor to talk about my best friend, Harry Ferrone. People thought we were joined at the hip because we were inseparable. I was talking to my son just tonight, and my little guy, Mark, was really small. And I told him I was going to be here to talk about Harry, and he goes, "Oh, you're going to be talking about 3-0?" And that was like a personal thing Harry and I always talked about. He goes, "Well, what did you call his wife?" And I go, "His wife was 5-0, and she was much better than 3-0. Because we knew where we stood in the pecking order of the family." Now, I don't know how Harry did in softball, but in tennis, he played a lot. I don't know if he went out and played softball while I was coaching, but he and I would play tennis all the time. Every Sunday at Ocean County College, we had Weimer and Lister against Ferrone and McKinnon. Every Sunday we'd go out there and play tennis. Harry and I would be, we played on teams together 12 months of the year. We would win our local and all types of awards. But as a coach, you know, when he first came here, he didn't know how to play tennis at all. I felt sorry for him. I really did. I don't know if he knew which side of the racket he was supposed to use. So we would play, I beat him all the time. And I felt sorry for him. And then he started getting better, and I started feeling sorry again, but for myself. Because he was good, he really got good. But what he was able to do with his personality, he was able to move that into his players, whereby he didn't try to overwhelm them with yelling and screaming, but with technique. And, you know, I'm coaching tennis now, and, you know, it was a point where Harry and I coached against each other. It was like a mirror. His kids play just like my kids. And, you know, we do a lot of technique and a lot of form hitting. And, you know, he basically got the banners put up, you know, on the tennis courts. And when he left, he basically turned Jackson Liberty's tennis team around. And just to be honest, they've never been the same since he left. Very quality guy, always smiling. As a teacher, he was outstanding. You know, everybody needed Harry to do something. Harry was always there, no excuses. As a coach, he was like that with his kids, would stay after practice and do whatever he had to do. And I would probably say, Harry, where are you? All right? Probably the toughest matches he ever had to play was against me. All right? My kids and his kids too would always know who won based on how he felt when he came home. And, you know, it was an honor to be around him. He was a great coach. He was a great father, great husband, but even more, he's my best friend, Harry Furman.
When Jackson Liberty was being built, the new principal there simply said, I'm going to find the best TV video production teacher around and steal him from the school that he's at. And that was Harry Ferrone. So he left us for an offer he could not refuse. And the kids at Liberty are as lucky as the kids that here had him, whether it was softball or tennis or just in class. Infectious teacher, great guy. He's here tonight with his wife Penny, his daughter Ashley. I don't know if his son Joe made it, but Joey, good job. I'll just say this. When Harry's passionate about things he cares about, he goes above and beyond. He's probably got the biggest Christmas display in Ocean County, digital music. Tune your radio in when you go by his house. He started 2 months ago preparing for this year. And, you know, I think that's just a statement to the kind of person he is to provide that sort of holiday cheer to everybody. Very proud of Coach Ferrone. Glad that he's back. Harry Ferrone.
First of all, Sweeney. Yeah, it's okay. I had a good evening. It's all good. First of all, Sweeney, such a good friend. So many great memories on the tennis courts with my buddy O. No doubt about it. One thing I forgot to bring up with me, girls on the softball team, when you came up, can you see what this is from the back? It's dirt, okay? This is dirt from our championship season. You see, what we did is we kept a little can, a coffee can of dirt and grass. We took dirt, everybody took some dirt when we had a win, and grass when we had a loss. Guess what? Ain't a whole lot of grass in here, okay? At the end of the season on our banquet, everybody got one. I brought mine tonight just in case you guys misplaced yours. You can see it. You can't have it, but you can look at it, okay? Once again, I want to thank everybody tonight. I want to thank the Hall of Fame committee for honoring my coaching career as a Hawk. After finding out that right now Bob Conover is the only other coach in, I am even more humbled than I was 15 minutes ago. I'd also like to thank my wife and kids for supporting me in my many years of coaching between the lines on the tennis courts and on the diamond. Without their support, it just wouldn't have been possible to be like that. So thank you. I'd actually like to dedicate my induction tonight to one of my deceased tennis players, also a member of the Manchester Hall of Fame, and that's Carrie Ann Carter. She embodied everything that a student athlete means and had the heart of a lion. She was a great kid that I think of often, and when I do, I always smile. So carry on. Most of you may know that I started my career as a boys freshman baseball coach and later coached girls varsity tennis and softball. As a young coach, I'll be honest, I never thought I would coach girls, ever. Then before I knew it, I was coaching 2 girls sports. By the way, I learned that, along the way, I learned that girls give very sincere speeches at banquets and they give way better gifts, okay? And I learned that my second year coaching girls because my girls got me like on this beautiful scrapbook that I still have and tickets for a restaurant, and Coach Lister and I were talking afterwards. I can't wait to see if he remembers this. And you know what his boys bought him for boys tennis? A bug light. One of those bug zappers, okay? I was out there and I was at the banquet. I was at the banquet that night. Do you remember this? I was at the banquet that night and their speech was kind of like, we just want to thank Coach because, you know, sometimes he buys us strings when we don't have them or break them. And we got him this bug light because he likes to hang out on his porch. Thanks, Coach. So after I saw that, I was like, I'm blessed. Coaching girls is great, okay? Moving on, though, I was lucky as a young coach to be mentored by some of the best coaches you could ever meet and Manchester legends in their own right. Sweeney McKinnon, Bob Conover, John Musoff, and of course, the amazing Mo McCann. Fantastic. My assistant coaches over the years made my job easier and helped to make our program successful, especially Coach P, Coach McCann, and my tennis buddy, Coach McKinnon. You know, when Coach told me I had 3 minutes to talk, I was like, well, what am I going to talk about? I don't want to talk about myself. That's kind of rude. So I said, let me think about what does coaching mean? What has it meant to me? First of all, I love coaching. When I was here at Manchester, it kind of defined who I was. I was about striving to build programs that are successful over time, and that means getting players to build confidence, pride, and a belief in their ability to succeed. That winning isn't an accident, but an expectation. For me, the bonds that you make as a team, the fun, the hard work, the long bus rides where, by the way, I heard things that I probably didn't ever want to hear. Okay, ladies, thank you very much. I will say that everything I heard on the bus did help me prepare for Ashley's teenage years, so thank you, it got me through. Didn't think I was going to make it. To setting goals and trying to achieve them, all valuable life lessons, everything we learn, whether it's on the tennis court or on the softball field. I treated my players over the years like I would have wanted someone to treat my own daughter. People always ask me this question: which sport did you like coaching the most? Loaded question. The truth is, they were very different sports to coach, okay? Very different. In tennis, I worked my players to the bone, teaching them skills and planning strategy that they'd have to employ on their own, okay? There's a great satisfaction in watching a tennis player develop into an independent-minded, confident player. Most of my coaching took place before the match even happened. In softball, there was plenty of skill work, but much more involvement during the games. Sitting on a milk crate next to Coach P, calling pitches, making jokes with whoever's teaching the pitch book, and also eating a Twix whenever we could. Yeah, I know you remember that sucker. When I look back on my coaching years, though, as a Hawk, it's not the conference titles or the championships that I see when I close my eyes. It's my players. Their smiles, their hard work, and their dedication. Their competitiveness, their compassion. They always made me feel important and valued. And I just hope that I was able to do the same for them. To all my players on all of my teams, over all the years, thank you.
Okay, our first athlete Lorena Adams. Lorena could not be with us today. She is taking care of her boys in California. But to say a few words for Lorena, Coach Conlon.
Note he said a few words. Few in my book means 3. But when you're talking Lorena Adams, Lorena was unquestionably the greatest female distance runner in Manchester history. And as great as she was as an athlete, she was a greater person. When Lorena beat someone, it broke her heart. She was legitimately upset about watching someone lose to her. Well, that was everyone except my son Garrett, who she spanked in 8th grade. Anyway, I don't know, I just couldn't help myself. Lorena, she was a Hollyoaks resident. We always see her in the streets, running, working. The Hans know you don't create a distance runner by eating the Wheaties in the morning. You put in your time, you work hard. Lorena was that person. She represented Manchester beautifully. She was a great gal. I wish she could be here tonight. I know she would have some words of inspiration for Hawk athletes and all Hawk fans as well. She's presently in California, married, bringing up a beautiful family. She's a great kid. She represents, folks. Lorena Adams.
Lorena's parents, Harold and Karen, are here. If we can have them come up. Lorena's husband is in the Air Force. They're in California. She tells me in a really nice conversation I had with her last week that within 5 years, or maybe at 5 years, she hopes that they can settle back here in the East. She met her husband as a runner in Georgetown as well, Corey. And she's still on our record board if you didn't get a chance to look at them. Probably will be for years to come. I'll say one more thing on that because it was important to Lorena. There's a picture of Uncle Albert in that mix, who she recently lost, and he was very important in her running life, and she wanted that to be known and be part of whatever we displayed. So, congratulations, your daughter's beautiful. Thank you. Okay, CJ Anderson. Coach Conover, once again.
The nickname that I gave to CJ Anderson. Is back? Yeah. The nickname that I gave to CJ Anderson was Silk. Now, I'm going to ask him to come up here, look the way he's dressed, look the way he looks, and see if I didn't give him the right nickname. And if you could have seen him going over the hurdles, and the way he looks, even with that gorgeous suit, I'll bet I could bring a hurdle in here right now. I might do that. Somebody want to go get a hurdle? Silk, come on up here, man. When it comes to Manchester Township Track and Field, this guy should be on the front page of the booklet. He's more than just a great hurdler, a great sprinter, a great jumper. I mean, he was high jumping 6'6". He's going over the hurdles at mock level. He did everything I asked him to do. His senior year, I said, how about running the 100 and the 200 for me? Sure, coach. Sure. It'll help the team. And the other part of C.J. Anderson that was sort of beneath his level, because he's not a loud guy. He's the the quiet guy in the corner getting things done. He was a leader on my team. When I talk to members of the team, and I mention the name C.J. Anderson, Silk Anderson, it's like a reverence when they talk about him. A level of respect that just isn't achieved because you're fast. It's achieved through the way he honors others, his work ethic. He just did everything the way you want things done. I mean, and Bobby and Val Anderson, CJ's parents, they did a wonderful job, not just with CJ, Kevin, and the whole family. I don't want to pick one out, we'll be getting in fights. When CJ left Manchester Township High School, he went to South Carolina University. He's a Gamecock. Go Gamecocks, all right. And he was on a full ride. And I don't know what you know about South Carolina University, but it's a powerhouse in track and field. And he hurdled there. He scored in the SECs on many occasions, in the high hurdles and high jump. And he was hurdling against guys that were about this big. But it didn't matter to him, because he's got the heart of a champion. Now here's that thing that I was telling you about. He's not noisy, he don't jump up and down. He gets things done, and people respect him. He was the captain of their team, his junior year, his senior year. Now, that says something above and beyond 6'6", 14'1". No, I wasn't in high school. Oh, what? Yeah, okay. Did it again. I should leave these numbers out. These guys never forget. He jumped 6'8". And the 6'6" was in the States. That was the last thing I looked at. Do you know how many numbers I have spinning around in my head? 25 years it is. 2 inches I was off. All right, now, I've done my share of talking. I want CJ to talk. Talk about perhaps the things that happened here in Manchester Township, maybe with teachers, administrators, coaches, that helped make him the man that he is today. And he is a great man. By the way, he's a commander in the United States Navy. And when you're talking a commander, 12 years? 13? 17? Okay. That is 17 years. That's right. Yeah, you're right. This is our 20th time. Okay. 17 years. That's the quick trip to the commander position. Somebody in the Navy Department knows they got a good one here. So, would you like to say a few words?
I want to thank Coach Conver for his kind words. Definitely did probably more than I deserve, so thank you. I just enjoyed running. I love being here, but before I get too far, I definitely want to say thank you to Coach Conver, also to Coach Polakowski, but more importantly to their families, because they were with us every afternoon and very long weekends, making sure that we turned out to be the best athletes that we could be, as well as the best men we could be. And time to run those commodities that cost nothing, but it's worth everything, and the time that you weren't with your families, we appreciate you guys allowing them to be with us. And what they created for us was a family atmosphere. Track practice was always fun. I'm not saying they didn't run us into the ground. I remember one practice we had 10 400s, and some of my high school practices were harder than my college practices. But we were always there, and we have a saying in track is to leave it all on the track. And we did that every day, and we did that because of it. You guys made us better men, and you made us better athletes, and I thank you for that. And for Manchester, it was a great time to be Hawk. It was a great time to be here. I'm proud to see that we have some of the same teachers still here. Coach Lister, great to see Mr. McKinnon again, as well as Mr. Adams. I mean, it's just amazing to see that they're still here. What they instilled in us helped all of us to grow up to be who we are today, and definitely helped to put Manchester on the map and to keep us there. So I definitely want to say thank you to my parents for all their love and support. No matter where we went for any meet, we always had fans in the stands. My parents, the Adams were there. We could always look up and see the Roaches, the Dambreezes, the Hans. So it was just a family atmosphere for track and field. So I appreciate all that love and support. It was an honor for me to be able to represent Manchester well. So thank you all for this honor, and have a good night.
C.J. Anderson.
Sylv Anderson. Thank you. Keith, you're a fabulous AD and you do a great job. And this is a testament to Now, CJ beat me on a couple of fronts, which doesn't surprise me. One, he recognized my family before I did. My family made quite an effort to be here tonight. Not my wife, because I drive her everywhere, but the rest of the family. My son-in-law, Eric, my daughter, Adele, my grandchildren are here. Where are the little rascals? Tommy, you're sleeping? Baba's got the mic. And my grandson, Conover, my son, Gary, and his lovely wife, Stace. And probably the best story was Ross. And all these guys were athletes here at Manchester Township, all of them. But Ross was at a national convention in Cleveland, a national wildlife convention in Cleveland, with 8 of his students. He's a professor, a college professor. And he couldn't be here because of that. And I said, hey, that's okay, Bear. Bearcat was his nickname. And he got the college to send someone out to cover the kids out there from his school, and had special driving arrangements set up so that he could drive all night to be here. And Ross, I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. Thank you. All right. Also, I have to thank Mike McCarthy and Dan Prima. I didn't thank them. They were my assistant coaches in '98. Now, could I have Ian Hahn come up, please? While Ian is approaching, I will say to you that you're looking at the greatest distance runner in the history of Manchester Township. I mean, I'm not going to stand up here and go over all of his times. The evening is long, but Ian is unquestionably the greatest in the history. And Ian has anchored all of the great distance and sprint medley relays we've had. And my son said to me last night, Garrett, he said, Dad, I think I could have run better in that 1-800, but I knew Ian had the anchor, so all I had to do was get as close. Ian went on from Manchester to Penn State, a full ride. He was a Big East champion in many different events. He was the Canadian champion. We haven't had Canadian champions here, no. Ian was the Canadian champion also. And Ian was also the captain of the Penn State team his junior and senior years. Once again, exhibiting the kind of man, young man that Ian Hahn is. Not just fast on the track, he's the real thing. And Ian, do you have a few words you'd like to say?
I'm not as long-winded as coaches will find out, but I just wanted to really thank, first of all, Mr. Lister, thank you for putting this on for us. I might be too far from here. I just in communication the last 2 weeks, you know, like how important it was that you made this memorable for us and our families. So we appreciate it. So, also thank you to my family who's here today, everyone, especially my parents, Jack and Patty. I always had the best equipment. I always had the camps. I always had everything from them. So much appreciated. You know, and we were all Division I guys getting inducted in here today. There's a lot of highs. There's also a lot of lows. And, you know, we'll always be there with the lows. So I appreciate it. Also, Coach Conover, thank you for what you taught me growing up and turning me into a man. You really told me, you got me to the track, you believed in us, you taught us how to win, you taught us to be humble, as we did. I mean, we were winning county championships and short conferences as sophomores, and you kept us cocky, you kept working hard, and you just didn't make us work hard. I thought I worked hard until I came under you and Coach Polakowski, but you taught us what it was to grind. You know, you taught us what it was to take that next level, you know, and I think that's what got guys like me and Skeets, you know, to these big D1 schools. It's just you asking that extra effort from us. So we knew how to work hard. You taught us how to grind. And I appreciate that. And Coach Polakowski as well. So I don't miss Polakowski's Virginia Tech sweatshirt on workout days. And also, lastly, just the 1998 track team. It was a track team that literally was a brotherhood. I never was a part of something where guys bought into each other as much as that track team. I mean, from the best guys down to the freshmen just starting out, it really was a brotherhood like I've never seen. It was just a complete buy-in, and that goes a lot to our coach staff, and that goes a lot into us, just buying in at such a young age, you know, and just, especially your senior year, guys are running off, there's distractions, we bought in, we went after it, and we did it. So I love you guys on the 90 team, and thank you guys.
I do want to say that CJ is here tonight with his wife Tina and their two daughters, 7-year-old Jasmine, 3-year-old Marley, and we appreciate their making the trip. Ian is here, currently lives in Wayne, New Jersey with his wife Amanda. His son Matthew and their daughter Rowan are also here with us tonight. Ian currently oversees management of all the Sherwin-Williams stores throughout Queensboro in New York City. Okay, our last track athlete under Coach Conover is Kevin Hester. Come on, Coach.
And while Kevin Hester is approaching the podium, I can say without any second doubts, he's the greatest high jump, long jumper in the history of Manchester Township. He's one of the greatest in the history of the county and the shore. And he went on to Rutgers University, where he jumped 7 feet, long jump 24-1, won many titles, championships, but what shines about Kevin Hester, once again, is that he was the captain of the Rutgers boys men's track and field team for 4 years. Now, he was there 5 years, so he wasn't the captain his freshman year. He had a redshirt year in there, but 4 years. Are you beginning to see the quality of that 98 team, and some of the members of it are being demonstrated by the respect that his teammates had for Kevin and the respect that I had for always. I mean, Kevin is running right now a Pop Warner League, and he's run it for the last 8 years here, which is giving up to the community. And that's a special thing, Kev, that makes me proud. Everything Kevin did. Kevin worked for DIFUS for 13 years, and that's very difficult going to work every day, dealing with children in difficult sets of circumstances. Kevin did that. And he's a remarkable man. I'm so pleased that he stayed in the area. He lives in Lakehurst with his wonderful family. And Kevin, you have some words you would like to say?
First off, I'd definitely like to thank Coach Lister and the committee for putting this together. Like you said in the beginning, it is a long time overdue. Personally, I'd like to thank all of my coaches. I know a lot of the guys up here were more than just track athletes. CJ also played soccer, but I'd like to thank Coach Lister, who was my basketball coach, Coach Covert, who was my football coach, Coach Conover, Coach Riley, who's not here, and Coach Polakowski, and Coach Adam, who's over there, who used to come in the gym, and I used to give him a little bit too when he stepped on the court. I just want to go up and just talk a little bit about what Manchester has done for me. Being on a track team, playing football, playing basketball, like CJ said, it kind of had that family atmosphere. You always hear that it takes a village to raise a child, and that's kind of how I felt here being at Manchester. Not just from my coaches, but if I had somewhere to get, and my mom couldn't get me there, the Andersons would make sure I got there. the Hans, the Conovers would always make sure I had a ride to practice and make sure that I got to the games and home from the games. And that's something that, that has always driven me, which is one of the reasons why I do the volunteer work that I do now, and I run the football and cheer program. The one thing I would say, I still see, you know, a few of the kids here, a couple kids that I've coached over the years. The one thing I would say is, you know, if there's one thing that you take from here while you're going through your sports and your athletic and academic career is really pay attention to what your coaches tell you. They're out there doing it because they care about you, they love you, they want to see you do well, and I guarantee after you leave and you graduate high school, you'll move on to be, you know, grown men, and you'll think about some of the things that they've told you over the years. There'll be times that are down, and for me personally, there's times that are tough for me, and I can still hear Coach Conover in the back screaming, "Skeets, you better go!" And something like that will push me through, and it continues to push me through every day because nobody on our team has ever failed. Nobody on our team has anything like that inside of them, and I think it starts right here with the coaches that come out to practice and games with it every single day. So I'd like to say thank you to all my coaches.
Kevin's lovely wife Melanie is here this evening, and I remember Melanie. She was a championship hurdler at Lakewood. She was the enemy. Kevin brought her into our camp. They got two lovely children here with him tonight. Jael, who's a 10-year-old, and he's easy, and Shai, an 8-year-old. And Kevin, well, Melanie, Kevin's the stepdad to a young man that is Bryce. Yep, Bryce. And Bryce is a sophomore at Virginia Tech, and he's the starting cornerback on their varsity football team. So look out for those Hesters! Woo! Hesters! Oh, and before, this is my last chance. I can't overlook one of my favorite men ever, Walt Polakowski, is here this evening with his lovely wife, Yolanda. He was at my side. And of course, my lovely wife, Jan.
Thank you, Coach. Okay, our next inductee is Dan Castles. I think of Dan as the fish that got away, personally. Dan was a triple threat Hawk. I hope all of you got a program, because we obviously couldn't go over every achievement for all these people. It was just a tremendous amount of achievements for all of them. And they were all triple threat Hawks for the most part. And certainly, if they weren't, they were outstanding in whatever programs they participated in. And I remember having a conversation with a few kids over the years saying, you know, a lot of kids, you say, well, you need basketball, or you need football, or you need... In these guys' cases, the programs needed them because they were quality kids and quality people, and just tremendous to be a part of watching them contribute to their program. So Danny was a triple threat Hawk, baseball and football. He's on the record board in the back in baseball. Multiple places. We're looking for a football board. We're working on trying to get every program represented back there. I'm convinced that Danny's probably on that board, although we don't have all the information that we need, but his numbers relative to all the football I've been watching here for the 32 years, pretty incredible. 135 receptions, 2,442 yards, and 25 career touchdowns. I imagine they're probably on our board when we get that completed and up. But really great athlete for us. Went on to Penn University, two-time Ivy League first team, two-time Ivy League champion, all-time leader in game, season, and career touchdown receptions there as well. 4 in a single game, 13 in the season, and 27 for his career. To say a few words on Danny's part is his head coach of football, Doug Covert. And let me just say this about Coach Covert. Coach Covert and I were hired within the same week of each other at Manchester, and of all the people that I've ever worked with, this is the guy that's made me laugh and love work. And so not having him here at the Hawks Nest for the last 15 years has not been the same. But to know Doug Covert is to love him, and I'm glad that he came back tonight. He now is the Director of Curriculum at Keensburg Schools. We are playing him outside. I know he is wearing some sort of blue with us tonight.
He was supposed to get me a shirt, he didn't.
That's somewhat true, but here for Danny is Coach Covert.
I'm going to try to be concise and to the point. So I'm presenting 2 honorees tonight, and one I'm going to go backwards, and one I'm going to go from when they were younger forward. So Danny's my one, I'm going backwards. Because we have an interesting relationship, me and Danny. He said I'm the Director of Curriculum at Keensburg, and Danny is our Business Administrator at Keensburg. So I now work professionally with Danny every day, and we lift weights a couple times a week, and we are co-workers. With that said, as educators, and it's been a common theme throughout, our main goal is to produce and help young people become productive adults. And I have the opportunity in both cases tonight that I know my inductees later in life. So I see Danny every day as a business administrator where he has compassion. He'll meet and talk to anybody in the district. And it just makes you proud every day because that's how he approaches everything. Now, when he was a player, like he said, you can't really describe it. He dropped one pass in the 3 years I coached, and I was sort of in disbelief. Like he actually looked at his hands, and he looked at me, I looked at him. I blamed it on the gloves because I didn't think he should have been wearing gloves. Played both ways for us, receiver and safety, and he could basically do anything on the football field. You know, I watched him play at Penn, probably 4 or 5 times. Incredible. With that said, he and Keith Cherney, his cohort in crime, came up. He actually played for Bill Malice, who coached with me. He actually did Pop Warner with Bill. And when he was 11, he came up in the summer and said, hey, can he practice with us? So I let him get in the line as an 11-year-old, and they would run routes and do the things they do and so on. And that's what it was with Danny. He just worked hard, humble. I'll tell you one last quick story. We're playing Pinelands. It's his junior year. And we had Brian Malice was our running back. And I sort of lied to Brian about the Pinelands coach and said that he didn't vote for Brian for all counting. So Brian was out of his mind. Running for like 300 yards. And I just was feeding Brian because it was working. Keith Cherney comes over, we're up like 21-0, he comes over and he basically says, hey, that D-back is really chirping in Danny's ear. We have to throw at least one ball. So I'm like, I said, I'm just going to run Brian. He goes, coach, one ball. And I'm like, run the fade for Danny. Well, Danny runs the fade, beats him by about 7 yards, touchdown. So I'm waiting for Danny to puff up and say something back to the kid so he comes off. I said, Danny, I thought he was chirping. Why didn't he say anything? He patted me on the shoulder and says, coach, I don't do that. And went back, and we, of course, went on to win. I still get a little criticism because Brian could have needed 1 more yard, didn't get it. But it was in my brain like it was yesterday. So without further ado, I want to have Danny come up. You have to say something.
I do?
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. So I'm not as good of a storyteller as Doug is, so I'll make this short and sweet. First off, I want to thank Coach Lister for organizing this event. It's great to see all these faces, these familiar faces. Haven't seen them in a while, haven't been in the building in a while, and the place looks gorgeous, and it makes me proud to be a Hawk. Secondly, I'd like to thank my coaches, namely Coach Covert, Coach Mallist, Coach Porterways, Coach Fence, who taught us so much more than the X's and O's of sport. They taught us how to be good people, which is the most important thing. They taught us about good sportsmanship, the value of hard work, how to just be a productive person. And that is something that you take well beyond the playing field and into every aspect of your life. I'd also like to thank my teammates. I was blessed to be part of a great group of guys like Craig Gundry, Danny Barker, Brian Mallist. They really showed us the way, how to act, how to carry yourself. In the weight room, on the practice field, in the hallway, they really set a great example. As Coach touched on, two of the players that I've got the privilege to play with are still huge parts of my life, in Keith Cherney and James Woods. And those bonds were really forged in these hallways and on these practice fields. I'd also like to say a huge thank you to my parents. The love and support they've given me throughout the years, I can't express my gratitude enough, whether it was driving me at 5 o'clock in the morning to the weight room, coming over my high school games, college games. Guys, thank you so much for all your time and love. And finally, I'd like to say thank you to my family, my wife Whitney, my son Ben, and my daughter Grace. I'm sure you've heard those over there. I'm shocked they're not running up here right now. But thank you guys for all your love and support, and congratulations to all the inductees and the Hawks.
Danny has stayed local, living in Island Heights, and we thank he and his family for attending tonight. Our next athlete is a track athlete, going back to track, Sonia Sullivan. We have another Conover to represent Sonia. Garrett was a coach here at the high school before he got into being a federal agent, where he is now in Maryland. Garrett? DC. And Garrett is here with his wife Stacy. Appreciate him coming up tonight, and we'll say a few words about Sonia.
Good evening, everyone. I hope by now that you're tired of hearing the word brevity and having it not fulfilled. I will try not to succeed my namesake and continue with that trend. So, I am here to talk about Sonia Sullivan. I had the benefit of coming back to my high school and being the women's head track and field coach in her senior season in 2005. And when I was first asked to give this speech, I thought to myself, well, okay, this is actually a really easy task for me, because Sonia won so many times and achieved so many great things that I thought I could just stand here at this podium and list achievement after achievement, and I would take up my entire allotted time simply by talking about how great she is and what she won. But that doesn't really explain who Sonia is necessarily. So I'm going to start this speech by talking about the other attributes of Sonia that most folks probably don't know about, and that these attributes don't necessarily reflect in titles and championships and trophies. But Sonia, first of all, as I was a rookie coach, I had lots of experience running, but I did not have much experience on the other side of that coin, and so she was my guinea pig. Sorry about that, Sonia. But nonetheless, one of the great parts of Sonia is that she was supremely coachable. She accepted feedback, she was capable of tremendous growth, and she had an open-mindedness that this is very important, was infectious to the rest of the team. It can't be understated how important that is. Now, beyond that, she was a very hard worker. And while it might seem obvious that a championship athlete is going to be a hard worker, rest assured that is not always the case. Some athletes are simply genetically gifted and do the minimum amount of work necessary to win. And I've seen it many times in my own life. But that wasn't Sonia. She was certainly gifted. She had an incredible stride, and she was lightning fast, and she had an ability to go over those hurdles reminiscent of Silk sitting in the audience here. But nonetheless, she would never have been satisfied with only doing the minimum. That just didn't embody who Sonia was. She worked harder than every single other athlete on that team because simply winning wasn't enough. She worked hard to challenge herself and to exceed all expectations, and that's a rare trait in an athlete. So to recap, she's coachable and she was hardworking. And whether you guys in this audience know it or not, these things are not inherent in every athlete. In fact, in my experience and in my lifetime that I've seen, they rarely ever even coincide. And so I want to tell you, when you have an athlete that has these traits, one of the most important things you get out of it is a natural leader. And that is also something that Sonia was. She could have chosen to selfishly focus on herself, focus on her workouts and her own success. But that wasn't her way. She incessantly cheered on her teammates, and she also coached them every single chance that she got. She had a selfless attitude that makes natural leaders truly great. So to speak of Sonia only in terms of her championships, her trophies, her medals, her records, and there were lots of them, would be to leave out a large piece of the puzzle, and it would do a disservice to the tremendous athlete and, more importantly, the tremendous teammate and leader that Sonia was throughout her high school career. Okay, and now that you know a little bit about Sonia, I can now start the part where I stand here and list achievement after achievement after achievement. And if you knew nothing else about Sonia, even though I know everyone in here does because you all listened intently to what I just said, if you knew nothing else about Sonia except her achievements, those achievements alone would make her so incredibly worthy of being in the Hall of Fame. So to start with, she was a 9-time individual state champion. She was a 2004 high school All-American, a 6-time individual Shore Conference champion, a 5-time individual Ocean County Conference champion, a 5-time All-Shore First Team selection, a 3-time All-State First Team selection, and she held the New Jersey State Group 3 record in the 400-meter hurdles from 2004 right up until 2017. And that's a tremendous feat. Now, after high school, Sonia attended Georgetown University, much like Lorena Adams also did before her. And at Georgetown, she continued her track career. Unfortunately, she suffered a bad ankle injury during her sophomore year, and that prevented her from further competition. But Sonia being Sonia, that didn't really stop her. Nothing really ever stopped Sonia. She went on to graduate Georgetown in 2009 and then attended Monmouth University, where while she was obtaining her master's degree, she resumed her track career, and in 2010 she became the Northeastern Conference champion in the 400-meter hurdles. Now, having said all that, I want to also say how proud I am to have even been able to be her coach for 1 year. It really was a truly special thing for me to have taken part in, and so I take great pride in that 1 year that I had with Sonia and in the fact that her legacy is being cemented into the Hall of Fame. It truly is a tremendous thing. Come on up here, Sonia. Congratulations.
Okay, I would just like to thank everybody for coming out tonight and the committee for inducting me. I would also like to start by thanking my mother, single mom raising me, who always made it out to every track meet and every soccer game. And I hope to one day be the same type of mom that she is to my daughter that I have now. As I was preparing for this day, I took time to think about all my track coaches that I've had since I was in middle school. And I have a list of people who I would want to thank for all their hard work and dedication and love that they've shown me over the years. Jamie Kuhn, Paul Santasiri, Barbara Brennan, George Chidiak, Eric Stallings, Garrett Conover, John Musoff, even though he's not here tonight, and he used to let me, race the boys in the hallway so that I could get faster, and I used to beat them all the time. I would also like to thank Ronald Gundry, our former athletic director here, Kathy Ayak, for always being there to tape all my ankles and take care of all my injuries, including in soccer. Mr. Lister, my soccer coach, Victoria Trapp, and Ed Kudak. But the one thing that Manchester did give me that I'm so happy for today is my best friend Hannah, who came out tonight to support me. And we had this thing where we would always warm up together, and she would be the opposite lead leg of me. And I have this picture that I keep at my desk, and I've carried it with me for the last, 13, 14 years for every job that I've had. And I look at that picture every day, and I thank God for her being in my life and always supporting me. She was also the maid of honor at my wedding. And I love you so much, Hannah. Thank you so much for always being there for me and always being like a secondary coach and a best friend whenever I needed you. Thank you so much for having me tonight and honoring me. And I look forward to one day, coaching my daughter, and hopefully that she will beat my records and surpass me in every way and form. But thank you so much.
Sonia is here today with her husband Brian. They live in Pine Beach. Her beautiful daughter Shay, or as she likes to call it, Shay Shay. I had the pleasure of meeting Shay Shay at Georgia Court a couple of weeks back. Sonia's supporting her friend Gianna Fucci's sister Anicia. So it was nice to meet Shay Shay, and I'm sure we'll see you there again, Sonia. Sonia is working out of the State Office of the Attorney General, where she is now a detective for the Division of Criminal Justice. So congratulations to Sonia. By the way, we're doing this, yes, thank you. We're doing this sequentially in terms of graduation year. So our next to last is Kevin Mallist. What can you say about Kevin that isn't in here? There's a lot of accomplishments. A triple threat Hawk, football, wrestling, baseball, probably on that football record board when we get it up there. In the gym, there's a banner. I don't know if any of you saw. Kevin was the first wrestler to reach 100 career wins, and that's a remarkable statement for Kevin. And that's a nice banner. We've had a few kids on there since, but Kevin was the first. He was the first. We've had a couple of track athletes of the year, CJ and Lorena. Kevin was the first. We've had a couple Ocean County athletes of the year. Billy Mallist, one of them. Kevin was the first Asbury Park Press Jim Sullivan Award winner in our school's history as the overall athlete of the year. He went on to Rutgers, as many of you know. I think, Kevin, although I think he was the first recruit of Greg Schiano's era and committed as a junior. Is that right, Greg? Is that right, Kevin? Yeah. Went on and had a fabulous career at Rutgers, played in 4 bowl games, was awarded some significant awards for strength and fitness and leadership. On the Big East board for total tackles in a given year, his senior year, although I don't know that made the program. Mike Lupico, Star Ledger, New York Times, all Big East player, played in the NFL after he left Rutgers with the Chicago Bears, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Tennessee Titans. The first athlete in our school's history to play in a North American major league sport. And that's a pretty significant accomplishment. And to say some words for him is Coach Coburn.
opposite when he was real young. So you really can't talk about Kevin without talking about Kevin's brothers and his family. You know, that's what you have to, you know, I'm one of 4 boys, and as the third one on the totem pole, I understand the 2 before me sort of go through all the speed bumps and sort of give you a map of where you have to go and how you're going to get there. So his oldest brother, Billy, an accomplished wrestler, baseball player, and football player, played at the University of New Hampshire. Little vertically challenged, you know, 5'10", 5'11". If taller, you get more recruiting and more people are interested in you. The middle son, Brian, not much you can say about Brian as far as just 31 years in education, around football for 30 years, and nobody tougher than Brian Mouse. Nobody. I'm going to tell a quick story about Brian before I get into Kevin. Brian's junior year, going into his senior year, I sent highlight tapes out to him on him. One I sent out to Penn State. Franny Gantner, the offensive coordinator, I get a call to come down to the office. I got a phone call. Of course, Ron Gundy gets me out of class to go take the call. And it's Franny Gantner, the offensive coordinator at Penn State. I get on the phone and he goes, Doug, I'm looking at this tape of this kid, and he's unbelievable. He's incredible. I said, I know, he's really tough, runs hard. He goes, yeah. He goes, please tell me he's 6'2". And I think I'm going to lie a little bit, maybe fudge, 6'1", 6, but I couldn't. I basically told him he's 5'10", a little shade over 5'10", 5'11", and that was the end of the discussion. But caliber-wise and effort-wise, he had Penn State, which was a top 25 program, interested in. And with that, Kevin benefited, because Kevin had the roadmap of what he needed to do. Okay? Before I get into specifics, but first time I really met Kevin, Bill, his father, coached with me, and I don't know, he's 4 or 5 years old, and I guess he was razzing his mom at home. And we're down in the coach's office, and we're all sitting around, and Kevin's with his friend Gant's here. You know, Gant was a little pudgy, didn't want to play football. And I said, he's a little pudgy, we got to get him out for football. And so they're running around, and Bill goes, and Kevin had a couple different names. He called him the Strawberry and Kerwin, because I guess he couldn't write his name right. It looked like a W. And he calls Kerwin in the office. Now it's me, Coach Copeland, who was there, Coach Porterways, and he goes to Kevin, hey Kevin, you were razzing your mom today. So now it's time for your spanking. And Kevin looks back. So Bill's sitting in his seat, he goes, come over here, you gotta get your spanking. Now we're all sitting there, I'm like, I don't even know Bill, like maybe a month or twice, this is all right. So Kevin's like, you need to back in and get over my knee for your spanking. You know, so Kevin backs in, gets over the thing. Of course, Bill doesn't spank him, but it was established, you know, structure, hard work, and I think he was 4 or 5 at the time. I also had the pleasure to coach Kevin in middle school wrestling. And I'll remember this, I would actually get the scouting reports off Kevin. Like we were wrestling in Lakewood, because he did all the club wrestling, so he knew every guy. And he would give me the scouting report on who the toughest guy was, who's not a tough guy. And then when we wrestle him, I would bump him to the toughest guy. So he would think he's wrestling like 105. I got the kid I'm pinning like 32 seconds. And right before the match, I'm like, you're not going 105, I'm bumping you up to 115. And he would look at Coach, get a little aggravated at me. But I think that helped him compete. And I did it to him consistently. And when I got him in football, and I used to wrestle with him a little bit when I got him in football, the work ethic, and again, coming from his 2 older brothers and his parents, laser focus. He ended up starting for me. I pulled him up as a freshman to play varsity football. And this, I think, would epitomized, besides the toughness, we were playing Middletown South, and they had no Sean Marino, they had a couple really good running backs, and Kevin's playing weak side linebacker. And I'm preaching to him, if flow goes away, cut back, counter, reverse. You sit in this hole and you just play cut back, counter, reverse. Don't be over aggressive and go across the top, because they're going to cut back, counter, reverse. It's going to be a touchdown. And sure enough, they're on like the 20-yard line. He's a 9th grade physical kid. And they run the play to the far side. He goes like a bullet. And it was a cutback, counter reverts. The kid cuts it back and scores. And he looks and he knows. And the thing about Kevin, it never happened again. Never happened again. And I think that's what parlayed his success at Rutgers and parlayed his success to go on to the NFL. With all that said, never missed a day of school. Was the captain of the Rutgers football team. I had the pleasure to go out and watch him play in the NFL. I told him, I'm not sure when, but I didn't really have to get clearance from my race. If you know, I can sort of just do what I want and just go wherever I want. But I said, I don't know what day, but I'm coming out to see you in Chicago. And sure enough, I randomly go, I get on my motorcycle, I drive out to Chicago. Go to the practice. Now, I'm thinking it's going to be like, I used to go to Eagles practice. I'm thinking maybe 100 people, 200 people. I go, and there's 15,000 people to the practice. And going back to character and how Kevin was raised, like I'm watching, he doesn't even know I'm there. So I wait to the end. I wait, he looks, we're all happy. So we're talking, and of course, like there's 15,000 people in it. So we're walking in, and every little kid that asked for his autograph or to hold his helmet, he waited, he stopped, and he took care of every little kid. And that just parlays to where, and one of the benefits, and not a lot of educators get this, I had it with Danny, and I don't know what, like I said, I coached with Bill. Bill's like a / father, older brother to me. And that's the relationship with, you know, I always say, I tell his sons this, the older you get, the smarter your dad will get. Because he used to tell me stuff when I was a young father, and I didn't believe it until I actually went through Little League or went through your son getting into college or your son being successful and then I realized where all that stress came from. But due to that is how Kevin developed to what he is. And what he is he's hardworking, loyal, never quits, and now we get the benefit to see what he is today. He is Rutgers has a board. If you walk into the House Center, there's a huge picture of Kevin in his uniform, and it talks about not only what he did in the NFL, but what he's doing now. And it's beyond belief. It's beyond belief. It's just as an educator and as a friend of the family, and as knowing Kevin since he's been 4 years old, that's really what you get an education for, and that's the caliber of person Kevin is. And again, Kevin's like he is because of his family and his 2 older brothers, because he got the roadmap laid out for him. So I'd like to bring up Kevin Mounds.
You guys can tell track and field is a pretty big sport around here. Me and Danny and Jimmy mix it up a little bit. Coach, thanks so much for the thoughtful words. Incredible. I've always appreciated you as a coach, and with everything you've been through, and you showed up every day with a passionate coach and to mold young men, and I really appreciate that. You know, you're a great friend to me and my family, and that goes a long way. And I'm super thankful to have you in my life as a mentor. And again, thank you so much for the awesome introduction. I want to thank Mr. Lister and the board, for inducting me. It's a tremendous honor, and there's a lot of unbelievable talent here. And I want to congratulate the fellow inductees. Just awesome talent, and it's a privilege to go in with such amazing people and athletes. Along the terms of coaches, I really appreciated and respected. Another one's Coach George. Coach is another guy who I just really enjoyed wrestling for, and like Coach Covert, when I got to high school, the whole bumping up thing, that didn't go away. It was the same thing in high school here. Coach always challenged me and put me against a better wrestler. He always challenged me as an individual, not to compare myself to others, but to stay within my own self.
and to continually get better as a wrestler. And he's just a great human being, and Manchester's truly lucky to have him. And thank you so much, Coach. I appreciate you. Furthermore, when I'm given the opportunity to speak to kids, and Danny touched on this earlier too, as far as just having the chance to play with people you grew up and great friends of yours. When I talk to kids now, I travel and I speak to high schools and Pop Warners or whatever. And when I tell them this is the greatest time of your life because you're playing with people you grew up with. I've had some incredible teammates throughout my career. I can name them, guys like Brian Urlacher, Julius Peppers, Jay Cutler, just incredible, people, Matt Hasselbeck, incredible teammates and athletes. But I always say my favorite teammate is Jim Gann. And not many people know, who Jim Gann is athletically, but I mean, Jim was always my, my greatest supporter, awesome friend, and his loyalty is unmatched. And it was truly like a pleasure to compete with Jim and be on the same field with him at times. And he'd always be at my matches. I remember wrestling in Atlantic City. He'd come down and hang out with me and calm me down, or just whatever. Jim was always there for me, and we have a ton of great memories. And it's really cool that we're still this close, as close as we were here in Manchester. We're still close to this day. My wife Melissa. I met her here at this school, and it's a special thing, everything we've been through, we basically grew up together, and she's an amazing woman, she's an awesome mother to our son, and she inspires me. She's always been there for support, even back when I wrestled here in high school. In fact, I wouldn't even let her come to my matches my freshman and sophomore years. I'd be so nervous, I wouldn't let her come. It didn't take until my junior year I'd let her come and come support me. But with that said, a lot of great memories at Rutgers, going to games there and traveling, and obviously a lot of great memories in the NFL. But also, she supported me incredibly post-career. Very tough moving on from football after I spent my whole life committing to it. And Melissa was always there and supported me post-career and to what I do now. And I credit a lot of my success there. Keep going here. My brothers Bill and Brian. To say the very least, I had some pretty high expectations coming in. These guys, I'm so grateful for like Coach said, the path they paved for me. I've learned so much from them, and I took pieces from each of them. And just amazing people in my life now. They're great leaders, they're great people, they're great family men. And I'm so blessed to have them pave the way for me, because I know I'm not the athlete or the person I am today without those guys. When I was little, I remember watching my brother Brian run the ball in high school. I was in 6th and 7th grade during his junior and senior years. He ran the ball and played with such passion and toughness. His first carry was just like his 40th. He'd run over you, and not only would he run over you, he'd help you up after he's done running over you. I mean, the guy was amazing. He had highlights that looked like Walter Payton highlights, like on NFL films. Like I still to this day, I watch his highlights, and I'm blown away by some of the runs this guy had. I remember thinking, geez, this is what I have to live up to. That was like my moment of clarity when I was in middle school, thinking and watching him play, like, this is what I have to live up to. He set the bar. I could not think of any other number to wear than the 34 he wore during his time here. I spent every day from then on living up to the expectations of what it meant to follow in his footsteps. And the rest is history. I'm 32 and I still look up to him. And I want to thank him for continuing to set the bar for me by just the way he lives his life every day. I believe in the mark of any great athlete is who they are in times of struggle, times of failure. How they respond when their back's up against the wall, and how they overcome when they're met with incredible challenges. Did they grow in those times and get better, or did they become complacent and settle? This mentality is literally what began separating me in high school, then even more so in Rutgers in the NFL. It is a mentality I still carry with me today in business and all of my relationships. The reason why I believe this is because I was shown it on an everyday basis by my parents. The people who were my role models since I knew what a role model was. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for teaching me how to overcome any challenge that comes my way. Also for teaching me how to carry myself also for teaching me that how you carry yourself off the field is just as important as any accomplishment you have on it. You gave me the two greatest gifts I could ever ask for, your time and your belief in me. This allowed me to achieve a childhood dream, but furthermore, allowed me to be the person I always wanted to be. I look forward to doing the same for my son. In conclusion, I just want to, again, thank Manchester for this opportunity. I'm super humbled and grateful to be, with such an awesome class of athletes. And I'm thankful for my experiences here. With everything it's given me, this truly was a platform for me to be successful in life and for what I would accomplish in Rutgers and NFL and what I do personally. And I'm super grateful for that. Thank you so much for all the great memories, and thank you so much for all the amazing people that helped me in my time here. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Well, I do want to say this. Kevin and Melissa. Melissa's a graduate of our school as well, and if you noticed the one picture we had in there, Kev, there was a rumor. Melissa, you might be able to tell us if this is accurate. Kevin was not allowed to have a girlfriend when he got into high school, and that picture was maybe proof that they were starting to have a relationship. Kevin didn't look happy that somebody was actually taking that picture because it might have been evidence. But that's the story I was told this week. That's 100% right? All right, so they have a beautiful young boy, Cameron, who's 18 months and looks like he's going to be the size of his dad, and look for future things to come there. Congratulations, Kevin. Okay. By the way, our inductees are also getting a gold pass for Manchester Events for Life, so we'll get those together. Our last inductee is Jimmy Lawson. Now, Jimmy was a double threat hawk, football and wrestling. Obviously, for those of you who know Jimmy well, he went to college and had the opportunity to do both. Not too many athletes do get that opportunity. A lot of guys in this class certainly could have, but Jimmy was our first wrestling state champion, and that's a pretty big deal. And certainly at heavyweight, you're wrestling all the big guys. So, he did it one time as a sophomore, and then he had a repeat as a junior, and then certainly as a senior, and a three-time state wrestling champion is just quite remarkable. I think what I'm going to miss most, and what we've missed, you used to love to see Mrs. Lawson talking Jimmy up in the corner of the gym. You are a gladiator. You are a gladiator. You are a gladiator, Jimmy. And Mr. George tells that story. I used to witness some of that myself. It was great stuff. So glad to have Jimmy here and to say some words. His wrestling coach, Tom Scheffler.
Good evening. First, I'd like to congratulate all the inductees tonight. I'm very lucky to have formed a relationship with a lot of them, either friendship, I've coached them, but your induction is well deserved, so congratulations. But tonight I'm here to talk about, not just as a committee member, because I'm a committee member for the Hall of Fame, and I was very lucky, thank you, Mr. Lister, but also to talk about a certain and particular young man, a man who I am so deeply proud of. I'm proud of him not just because of what he's done here, not just his accolades or what he did in Penn State or Monmouth, but more importantly, who he's become, the man he's become. He's profound, he's dedicated, he's something that I almost want my son to become. The type of attitude that he has, the hardworking, the and we talked a lot about it tonight, all the inductees tonight, how hard they worked and how hard their families worked. So again, congratulations to the families of the inductees, because although they are receiving the award, you also are part of it. If you don't know Jimmy Lawson personally, and only heard about him, either in the papers or word of mouth, you might have heard that he was an outstanding football player and that he was a beast on the mat. And I use the word beast very lightly. He was an animal. Coaches were scared to put their guys against him. Coach George can remember, I was very lucky to be an assistant coach with Coach George for 7 years. And Jimmy was a freshman when Coach George's last year. Jimmy was an outstanding freshman. Came in, we actually had Spotswood come in who had a very good heavyweight and wanted to go up against Jimmy because they heard about him a little bit as a freshman. And one of Jimmy's, he didn't have a lot of defeats. That was one of them, all right? But it was a close match. It was 9-7, I think it was. It was a very close match against that kid that did very well at States that year. As the season went on, his freshman year, he did very well, placed third in districts, and then went on to regions, and I think he lost in the semis to Doyle, who placed third in the state. And that was only his second year wrestling. And that's where the legend of Lawson began. But coaches were scared to put their kids out against them. Some of them were just lucky that, as time went on, that they would last just 1 minute. Sometimes last a period, and I'll be happy if you go out against Lawson. And then some of them were just hoping that they come out in just one piece. Although you might have heard that, what you might not have heard is off the mat. Jimmy, off the mat and off the field and out of the octagon, he's a gentle soul, one who was kind and generous. He is loyal and most definitely family-oriented. His family, especially his mother and father, have taught him all these virtues, as I've witnessed through the many years, through their support and their love. When Jimmy won his first state title, and it's funny, I can just say his first state title, his family threw him a party to celebrate, big celebration. Coach George, myself, Coach Picton, Coach Vincegara, we were all invited and were welcomed as guests, okay? Not just as guests, but as members. I felt very welcomed. It was very easy to be in that setting. It was a testament to their love and support that they had for their son, as well as trust. Trust for me, coaching him. And I would like to thank Mr. and Mrs. Lawson for all your dedication and hard work, and allowing myself and my coaching staff the pleasure of coaching your son. You have done an amazing job with him, all right? Raising him and raising him to become such a wonderful man. Jimmy came in the other day and we were talking, and just talking about how he has found his passion again, his passion for wrestling again. And you could see it in his eyes. I don't know if you know this, he's doing a little MMA out in California, and he's getting ready to jump into that octagon, and a lot of it has to do with wrestling. And he talked about his love, and part of it also has to do with how he is as a team member with his teammates out there. Because the way he's with his teammates out there is probably the same way he has with his teammates here. I'm not only proud of his accolades, Jimmy has accumulated many, and believe me, it's amazing to stand up here and talk to you about his accolades. His 3 New Jersey State heavyweight titles, only the second person to do so in New Jersey history, the first being, I think, 1947 with Harry Lancey, all right? The only wrestling state champ in school history. His 3rd state title was quite memorable, but if you blinked, you might have missed it. All first period pins, with a grand total of only 3 minutes and 58 seconds on the mat in a tournament at the state level. That's unheard of. It led him to be named the NJSIA Most Outstanding Wrestler and the Star Ledger's Wrestler of the Year. That's all weight classes, all wrestlers in the state of New Jersey. He was a Sullivan Award winner from the Asbury Park Press and the most outstanding male athlete in the short conference. It's quite common to go into the finals of the state tournament and know that you're going to win. You know, I'm pretty sure Jimmy knew he was going to win. It was more like how he was going to win. I knew he was going to win. Coach Vince Guerra knew he was going to win. In fact, I don't think we did much coaching during that entire tournament. I think we looked at each other and we were talking about where we were going to go out to dinner. It's hard to say that, but it's the truth. You know, I think me and Vince Guerra were saying, you want to go to the Palm after this? You know, what do you want to do? Oh, when Jimmy pins in the first period? Because that's exactly what he was going to do. He took down Jack Delia, all right, and pinned him. It was so quick, people blinked, and it was over. And again, like I said, to be at that caliber, in the state of New Jersey, who only has one state champ, unlike many other states, only one state champ per weight class, for you to go into a tournament knowing that your wrestler is going to win, and it's no doubt about it. The only thing I was scared more than anything else was that he's going to pick up someone and slam them and the match was over. You know, if they couldn't continue. That actually happened at districts almost. I think it was your sophomore year. Junior year. Junior year. He picked up a kid from Toms River North. It's on YouTube. A lot of his matches are on YouTube. Picked up a kid, slammed him. Looked at me, I'm like, what are you doing? And he said, what? I just picked him up, he fell. If you look at the YouTube, he slammed him. But the coaches were understanding, got the kid back up. The kid pretty much just went down and got pinned anyways and continued the match. And I will tell you, if it was some other teams, it might not have occurred that way. But we were very lucky for him to move on and go on and win his second state title. So that was the only part-time me being scared was that at that moment. I think Vince Guerra and myself are very lucky to have coached a young man like him. As I continue, he was a two-time region champ. He was the most outstanding wrestler award at Region 6 his senior year for only 1 minute and 47 seconds dominance total mat time. Also a member of the Region 6 Hall of Fame. He was a three-time district champ. He was the only Manchester wrestler to win 4 Hawk Classic champs. I think it'd be hard to find out, but I think there's only 1 or 2 others that have won that were 4-time Hawk Classic champs from all the teams that were involved. He was a 3-time Nottingham champ. He had 2 back-to-back undefeated seasons. That is 76 consecutive wins. Oh, and he won a national championship that year as well. And talking about what kind of person Jimmy was, he never hit. He always wanted to wrestle the tougher kid. Always. It's unfortunate that he was at a weight class that we couldn't bump him up to wrestle a tougher kid. But at the same time, when it came out to that national tournament, we were waiting to see if he was going to go to Flow Nationals, which was a new national tournament, or the NJHSA one, okay? And we were always asking, which one are you going to go to? Which one are you going to go to? Well, there were 2 polls out that year. And the 2 polls, one, Jimmy was ranked number 1. Another one, he was ranked number 2, with another kid. And he was waiting to see where that other kid was going to go because he wanted to go to that same one. That shows you what kind of person he is. It's the same as if you were playing football and you know, coming down to the last minute and your running back goes, give me the ball. I want it. And that was him. And he always wanted to wrestle that tougher kid. But like I said, Jimmy always, you know, wanted to wrestle a tougher kid. But sometimes that tougher kid was in a different weight class. Sometimes Jimmy forgot that he was a heavyweight. You know, as one of these pictures, I think he's jumping on me. Actually 2 of them. And one says, the last man standing. I'm lucky I stopped him from jumping on me. If he did jump on me, I would have been the last man standing. I mean, he would have been the only man standing, not me. I would have fallen down, got hurt. But it looks like I caught him, but I didn't. I stopped him from jumping. You know, most times a wrestler wins a state title, you know, usually they're the lighter weight class, you know, and they go and they jump on their coach catches them, and they, you know, they have a great time. I can't catch Jimmy, you know? There's no way I'm catching him. Especially when I had to make him cut down from 285 one year, just so he would be faster on the mat. But, you know, he always was that light-hearted kid. Mom came after his freshman year and said, "You see that kid? We were at Pinelands. You remember this, right? See that kid? He's throwing in legs. I want Jimmy to do that." That's right. You remember that, right, Mrs. Lawson? Next year, Jimmy's throwing in legs. He's dominating. Dominating, because it's not often that a heavyweight can wrestle the way he did. There were things that were just so amazing with what he did. He didn't just win, he dominated. He didn't always want, he didn't always do the thing that you thought because he saw something better. He was a wrestling savant. You know, he was a genius. He saw things that others didn't, execute what others couldn't. He was definitely different. He wrestled like a lightweight. And with that kind of strength and that kind of speed, he was amazing. The accolades didn't just stop after high school, though. They continued. After a 2-year span at Monmouth football with 20 games and a Rookie of the Week under his belt, Jimmy continued his wrestling career at Penn State, which was joyous for the wrestling world, where he contributed to a national team championship his junior year, right? And also became an NCAA finalist and became an All-American with a 6th place finish at heavyweight in 2015. As I mentioned, I'm not only proud of his accolades. In fact, I'm more proud of how Jimmy inspired and how he continues to inspire young wrestlers or kids in Manchester and throughout the county, the shore, the state. Even just by saying his name, kids are inspired. The legend of Lawson. He not only inspires individuals to strive for the stars, but he also inspired a team. Jimmy's senior year led to one of the most successful wrestling seasons here at Manchester. With Jimmy at the heart of the team, with his leadership, the team won a divisional title, but more importantly, won a district championship, the first and only in school history, and still the only team to beat Southern in districts over the past 17 years. Jimmy is a coach's dream who possesses all the tools needed for greatness, but especially his heart. He's a legend. He's known in every corner of the wrestling world, and now making a name for himself, just not on the mat, but in the octagon. And he makes everything and everyone around him better. As much as he had accomplished in high school and collegiate career, he's not finished, and he still has a world and a belt to conquer. Congratulations, Jimmy, to your induction. It's my pleasure and honor to introduce.
So to start off, I'd like to thank you guys all for showing up, supporting the athletes and our coaches inducted here today. Just like the beginning of many of our journeys, that type of support is the reason why we're all able to stand here today. Just like Coach Chef mentioned multiple times, my parents, were the driving force in my athletics. There were plenty of times I wanted to quit. I'm sure all these coaches can attest to you. I hated losing a lot growing up, and there were many times I would freak out and lose my cool, and I wanted to quit. I didn't like that feeling. Not many kids like that feeling. No one wants to end up being a person not having their hand raised, but it taught me a lot, especially in sport wrestling. It taught me a lot about fighting through adversity and dealing with struggles and having to, take the extra step, go the extra mile to become better as an athlete. Just to go off of that, There's one coach I would like to especially thank. You know, alongside Coach George, Coach Chef, Coach Mitzi, and Gary's not here. You know, Mr. Lister and everything else. I like to give a special thanks to Coach Pick, Robert Pick. The one thing I'll say about Pick is, you know, middle school. Not many people know me from my early days in middle school. I wasn't a mischievous kid. I wasn't causing trouble for the teachers, but I had an angry streak. You know, I was a little chunky growing up, so I had my fair share of fights. 13 years ago, one day in 8th grade, Coach Pick pulled me to the side and told me, you know, he saw greatness in me and I should be using my anger towards something else other than finding myself in the ISS room, writing up papers about, you know, how not to punch people, not to punch other kids. Thank you, Pick. I'm sure you know, but you changed the kid's life that day when you decided to give me an opportunity to wrestle on your team. And before that, I didn't know if my high school was going to be filled with a lot of fights and stuff, but through athletics, especially wrestling, I met some of the closest friends of my entire life through that sport. And I definitely appreciate the fact that you opened that door to me. Going on, I'm gonna keep it with wrestling because that's one of the main reasons why I'm keeping it with wrestling. I have a lot of great memories with them, a lot of great memories with those coaches. A lot of things I did on the wrestling mat affected how I viewed myself on the football field. Certain things about wrestling, being a one-on-one sport, it's you and one other person. It's your will versus another man's will in the middle of the mat. It's different than football. Football, you can take plays off. I'm not saying that people do, but you can take plays off. There's times where you might hold your team more accountable than you hold yourself. And wrestling taught me a lot of those great, just a lot of those great life lessons. One instance that always sticking out to me is my freshman year. I remember when we first had a scrimmage against Long Branch, and we were all joking around before getting on the bus, to travel up there. And everyone had gotten on the bus and we had pulled out by the sign over by the bank. And I left my wrestling shoes and my headgear. I was fooling around beforehand and, we turned around. Coach George said it was okay. And we turned around and everything. He waited till I got out the locker room and, obviously all the students scrambling around there. He chewed me out big time. At the time, I didn't like it. I was upset about it. I didn't really understand much, but it taught me a lot about accountability. Because of that one particular incident that made us late, that extra 30, 40 minutes my team could use to get better that particular day was cut short because of me being late. So, needless to say, that never happened again from that point on, from that freshman year. On past that, when Coach George decided to go into administration, Coach Chef took over as the head coach along with Coach Vince Garrett. Well, before he brought Coach Vince in, I got a chance to work with him at Region my freshman year. Me and Chef had talked about how much of a great workout partner he would be for me. And I was intrigued by wrestling because of how he wrestled, his wrestling style. He was a heavier guy, but he wrestled like a lightweight. That's where the whole idea started for me to be more of a tactic, aggressive style guy like you see in those lightweights. So, it's just a testament to how much, my coaches were willing to give back to me and go across the world for me. He was one of the main reasons why Vince was able to be brought into our staff, and I can personally tell you that was, part of the reason why my reign started my sophomore year up to my senior year. I had the best person in the state to prepare for, the rest of the wrestlers in the state every day. I got that type of work every day, and the quote that I'll go back to, it's funny, Mr. Hester listed it during his induction, but I really do believe it takes a village to raise a child. In Manchester, Kevin's older brother. Just like he was a driving force in his life, he was a driving force in my life. He would come in even when I was an eighth grader. We were allowed to during the wintertime practice and come up with the high school kids. And these guys are grown men, way older than me, had full jobs, some college, doing all types of things. And him, along with another gentleman, Nick Ott, used to come into practice with me every week and wrestle with me. And it made the difference, these kids that went through the program, very successful at the high school level. I'm an eighth grade, didn't really know much, I appreciated them coming in and beating me up, reminding me that I still had growth to make and still had to improve in toughness to gain in my respective sports. And that's just a small sample of all the many people that have helped me throughout my life and my athletics through this school. And I tell you, I can't be more proud to be a Hawk. And I'm hoping to continue representing this school in a great manner when I get in the cage this spring. So thank you, guys.
Jimmy has to decide whether he wants to go in the ring as Jersey Jimmy Lawson or Jimmy Juggernaut Lawson. So I don't know whether it's going to be a fan survey or
It's going to be voted on.
it's going to be voted on. So he's got some decisions to make. Well, I can tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, the band is going on. It is halftime. I will say this. This has been a great night. It's been a long overdue night, as I said earlier, and we're going to continue to try and do this year to year. Maybe not exactly like this, but in some way, shape, or form. And we hope to continue to honor people who we feel have made great contributions. One of the best things about tonight is we have some of the best families that we've had in our town back. And I think one of the common denominators of all these kids, really good athletes, really good students, but from really, really good families with a lot of support. And it's, for somebody who's been there as long as I have, you can't put a price on that. It's just priceless. And I really appreciate all the support for you and the parents, extended families, and your testament certainly to that. So I want to thank our Booster Club for their support. Jesse Hansen, Crystal Stevenson, and Christopher Gray on our custodial staff. A lot to get us prepared here. Again, Joe